People are always telling you to have a good day, from the clerk at the dry cleaners to the teller at the bank. It's almost become a cliche, one of those throwaway lines that nobody really means. Well, Caroline Webb means it. She means it so much that she wrote a whole book about it, titled How to Have a Good Day: Harness the Power of Behavioral Science to Transform Your Working Life. Webb is an economist, management consultant, and CEO of 7Shift. She's done extensive research in neuroscience and psychology to find out how we can change our outlook and behavior to have more good days on the job and off. But what constitutes a good day?
Over the years, I asked a lot of clients exactly that question. What is a good day for you? What is a bad day? And how do you get more of the good days? And the themes that kept on coming up were quite simple. They were, I'm doing the right stuff. I'm doing a good job of doing that stuff. And it feels sustainable, that I can do this again and again. I can wake up tomorrow morning and feel good about what lies ahead, and I've got enough energy in the tank at the end of the day. So that's what I built the book around, was the big themes on priorities and productivity, on relationships and thinking and influence, all of which help you do a good job, and then resilience and energy so that you're able to keep on going even when the hours are long.
Webb says that her techniques aren't just for people who go out to a job every day. They're also great for people who are retired, who stay at home and take care of the family, students in school, and for everyone in their off hours. Her definition of work is very broad: anything you want to get done. She says that the reason we have bad days where we don't get our work done is because of the way the brain works.
The part of the brain that you're using to listen to me and the part of the brain that I'm using to talk to you is the conscious part of our minds, of course, right? And it's deliberate, it's grown up, it helps us plan, it helps us with self-control, it helps us think things through, it's responsible for reasoning. And that's what I call the deliberate system. It has a lot of different names. And the automatic system, which is the other one, is much more obviously unknown to us because it's automatic. We're not even aware of it. But most of what we do is taken care of the automatic system so that we're on autopilot for most of what we do from day to day, much as we don't like to think of it like that.
Without that automatic side, we'd have to think carefully about how to get on and off an elevator, lock our front door, and put on our seatbelt every time we did it. Those things we need to do, from finishing the quarterly financial reports for our boss to picking up groceries for dinner, take a lot of deliberate brain power. And unfortunately, the automatic side of the brain can interfere with getting those jobs done. It's called the discover-defend axis.
If you're feeling stressed out by something, your brain launches quite a helpful, in a way, protective response to keep you safe. It senses that there's some kind of threat that might be in the environment. And the challenge with that, and you might know this phrase, the fight, flight, freeze response, the challenge with that protective fight, flight, freeze response is that it draws some action away from the sophisticated, deliberate system. So in other words, when you're feeling stressed and under pressure, you're in defensive mode, you're not thinking as sharply and as sensitively because your deliberate system is slightly offline. So what I talk about a lot in the book is also how can you stay out of defensive mode and be in what I call discovery mode as much as possible, where you're really helping both systems of your brain operate to their fullest capacity and potential.
Setting our intentions for the day can help to focus on what's important and what's not. She talks about a man named Martin that she met at a meeting who explained how he prioritized his activities for the day as soon as he woke up.
Rather than just falling into the day, very easy to do that, he takes a moment to say, okay, what really matters most today? And therefore, where do I want to put my attention? It sounds incredibly simple, but most of us fall out of bed and we start racing towards the first thing that we have to do without taking that step back. And the reason why that's powerful is that it totally changes the way that we perceive the experience of the day. This is back to the capacity constraints of the deliberate system. It's really limited on capacity, so one of the ways that we don't end up with a brain that crashes and hangs like an overloaded computer is that we actually filter out most of what's around us. So we think we've got an objective picture of reality, but actually our brain is automatically filtering out much of what's going on around us. And what we do notice consciously, what we do direct our brain's attention towards, is determined by what's already top of mind for us.
What kind of mood we're in is a big determiner of how much we can get done and how much extraneous stuff we can filter out.
If you're in a bad mood, you'll see a hill as steeper than someone who's in a good mood looking at the same hill. Our perceptions are terribly strongly influenced by our starting point. So that's where Martin's intentions come in, because the fact that he stops in the morning and says, okay, what's most important to me, and therefore, what do I most want to notice today? Where do I want to put my attention? Means that he's just being a bit more deliberate about that decision about what he filters in and what he filters out. And as a result, he actually changes the way that he experiences the day. He notices more good stuff than he would have if he had not set those positive intentions at the beginning.
Being productive is the key to having a good day, but often we feel like we're not making as much headway on a big project as we'd like. Webb says that breaking it down into smaller goals and deciding how you're going to do it helps the brain get a handle on the project. She calls it when, then.
You're not only breaking this down so that you've got a really clear first step, but you're really clear about when you're going to do it. So, for example, there's a call that you might have been putting off making or an email that you're putting off writing. And you're so much more likely, 300% more likely actually, to get it done if you say, when I go for lunch at 12 o'clock or whatever time you go for lunch, then that's when I'm going to send this email. When I come out of this meeting, then I'm going to make that call. Just much more specific. And the reason that we get our goals more likely to be achieved if we set those when-thens is it just places much less load on our brain, much less processing. Oh yeah, okay, now's the time that I do this thing.
Sometimes the reason you have a bad day is because others keep piling work onto your desk. How do you say no to someone when they want you to get your scheduled work done and start another project or attend a meeting? Webb has a suggestion to prevent overload: the positive no.
If you start by saying, I'm really sorry, I can't take this on because blah, 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 the other person's very slightly on the defensive because they're just hearing a negative message coming from you. The trick is to start with what you're saying yes to. And I have to say, this does require a bit of email editing sometimes, where you start by saying, I'm in the middle of this fabulous book launch. It's just the most exciting time. There's lots going on. As a result, I have to make tough choices about what I can and can't commit to. And therefore, I can't say yes to this thing that you blah, blah, blah want me to do. But if there's anything else that I can do to help, perhaps I can refer you on to someone else. It feels totally different from the, I'm sorry, I can't do your thing, because you started with the thing that is actually a little bit more exciting and upbeat. And the other person, even if they know that the no is coming, the fact that you start with something that you're saying yes to, that you're excited about, is strangely seductive. It's very hard to resist the fact of someone expressing what it is that they're actually excited about.
Even if you take her suggestions to heart and practice them diligently, you're going to have a bad day or a bad week sometimes. How do you get over it? She has a couple of techniques that can help.
One of them is using a distancing technique, which is to say you put yourself at some distance from the situation by asking yourself, what will I think about this in a year's time? Or what would my best self think about this? Or if I were advising a friend, what would I say to them? And I'm not saying that you suddenly, you burst out singing because everything is fine, but it takes the edge off. It reduces your discomfort about the bad day. And there's a series of techniques like this which are strangely powerful. Asking yourself, what can I learn from this, is useful because learning is perceived by the brain as quite a strong reward. It's very rewarding. We love learning new things. It's why we like gossip.
You can read more of her suggestions on how to overcome a bad day and even more on how to prevent them in Caroline Webb's book, How to Have a Good Day, available in stores and online. You can also visit her website at carolinewebb.co. There you can read more about her, her book, and take the Good Day quiz. For more information about all of our guests, log on to our site at viewpointsonline.net. You can find archives of past programs there and on iTunes and Stitcher. Our show is written and produced by Pat Reuter. Our production directors are Sean Waldron and Reed Pence. I'm Marty Peterson.
Many of us swap meat for seafood on Fridays during Lent, but it can be a challenge to keep those dinners easy and exciting week after week. Chef Kevin Vetter of the McCormick Kitchens joins us to share simple tips to make every Lent Fish Friday delicious.
Seafood is perfect for a quick Friday night dinner because fish fillets and shrimp don't take much time to cook. Try making a quick shrimp scampi. Simply cook shrimp in a skillet with half a cup of McCormick Scampi seafood sauce and serve over pasta. It's a family-friendly dinner that's ready in about 15 minutes. Or make taco night fish taco night. Bake tilapia fillets coated in breadcrumbs and taco seasoning until flaky and golden brown. Serve with tortillas and provide toppings like avocado, cheese, and tartar sauce.
For more recipes and tips, visit McCormick.com or find McCormick Spice on Facebook and Pinterest.
One of the biggest challenges facing mental health professionals is finding the right medication for an individual patient. With more than 130 psychotropic medications to choose from, it's difficult for doctors to know which will work best or which won't work at all. Up till now, they've had to go mostly by trial and error, but now there's a database called PEER that allows physicians to learn which medications have been effective for their peers' patients with similar brain patterns. Here's George Carpenter, President and CEO of Mind Analytics.
PEER is based on a database of over 10,000 unique patients, each one classified by more than 1,100 variables, calculated by a routine brain scan called an EEG. A sophisticated computer analysis allows a doctor to match a current patient with others with similar EEGs and the treatments which were successful in these patients.
Carpenter says PEER greatly increases the odds of treatment success. Find out more at mindanalytics.com. That's MYND analytics.com.